I'm here with Lachlan Giles, Australia's up and coming or one of the more established black belts in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So, can you just introduce yourself and tell us a few words about yourself?
Hi, I'm Lachlan Giles. I've been doing Jiu Jitsu for 14 years. I'm a black belt, got it in 2012. And I run a club in South Yarra, Absolute Mixed Martial Arts. So I run the Jiu Jitsu out of there.
Okay. What else apart from Jiu Jitsu? Is that your full-time job? Do you do anything else? Can you tell us a little bit about your life outside of Jiu Jitsu as well?
Yeah, I am a physio as well, and I'm currently doing my PhD at the moment, studying some different treatments for knee pain, so that's almost finished. And I do a little bit of clinical physio work, but not that much.
Okay. How much do you train currently, and how much do you coach?
I coach, I don't know exactly in terms of hours, but I coach midday and night every day except for Monday and Friday middays, and then also on Saturday mornings and midday as well. I pretty much train every session I coach as well, so my training sessions are kind of mixed in with my coaching sessions.
Okay, so you've been an athlete who's travelled the world with Jiu-Jitsu a little bit. You've obviously got a bit of, I guess, education and anatomy knowledge behind you as well. What, in your opinion, what makes a good coach? What elements, so it could be mental, could be physical, but after coaching yourself for over a year full time and also travelling the world and training under different instructors, what would you say are the standout elements of being a good coach?
It's a tough question to answer on the fly. I think being a good coach will obviously pay a lot of attention to detail. I think detail is really important. You have to have the skills there, but I think it's also being able to learn and apply skills outside of your own skill set that you use. So I certainly at my academy encourage people to explore their own game. I try to direct people in terms of based on their body type and so on, who they should maybe try to emulate, but I don't necessarily say just do what I want to do. And I try to learn, as a coach, I try to learn all different types of games, and then hopefully I can, even if it's not for me in the end, I can at least have a feel for it, so if the student wants to go down that path, I can give them some advice.
So speaking of students, conversely, what makes a good athlete? Or first of all, what makes a good student? And second of all, in your opinion, what elements make a world champion athlete?
Good student in terms of performance, or like getting better at jiu-jitsu?
Getting better at jiu-jitsu and performance, I guess that's the same thing, nearly, isn't it?
Okay, a student that's going to get better at jiu-jitsu is going to be self-motivated, most of all. So I think the biggest thing is you're actually showing up to training a lot, not just, I think it has to be part of your schedule, not just I feel like training today, I'll train, and I don't feel like. I think you got to get a routine going and sticking with it. I think so. That's number one. Consistency, dedicated. Drill a lot. Come in early, practice things. Specific training. Do your own training in your own time as well as just the class time. Go. When you're not training, study, watch videos. Who are you trying to emulate? What moves you're trying to work at the moment? How's the best guys in the world doing that? Have a look at that, and you'll learn a lot quicker. I guess you have to always, I think, have a long-term goal, and that's your main goal, not the short term. So whatever comp's coming up, if you're just training for the next comp all the time, I don't think you progress technically as much as you are. If you focus on, okay, what in 2 years' time is going to, what can I do right now that's going to help me in 2 years' time be a better jiu-jitsu practitioner? I think if you're focused on the 2 years, you'll work your technique a lot more. You're not going to be so worried about whether you win the role today or tomorrow, as long as you're actually trying to learn. If you're focusing on the comp that's in 3 weeks' time, you're just going to be trying to go hard and get that intensity, which you can't just do all the time. If especially unless you're at the peak of your career, black belt or whatever you feel like your peak is, then maybe go hard as you can. You've got like a 2 or 3 year window where I think your body will let you do that, but otherwise, do it smart.
Yeah. So you've been around the scene for a little while. You've probably been in a lot of competitions. How do you handle losses, and how do you keep motivated when you're winning?
How do you handle losses? I don't know. I guess long-term goal. I'll go back to that again.
What I'm trying to say is...
it sucks. I don't know. Like, it sucks, but you're going to lose. You have to know that. If you think you're invincible, then bad luck. But I think you've just got to look at it like it's... Again, if you're focusing on, like, in 2 years' time, how can I be... how can I be best at jiu-jitsu so that in 2 years' time I'm going to be as good as I can be, then you won't care so much about your win or loss today. I mean, it sucks, but that's how I would approach it. If you're not a black belt, if you're a purple belt and you lose, like, who cares? In 2 years' time, you'll be a brown belt or a black belt, and you will not care at all about what's happened at this current time. So, yeah, just long-term goals tend to keep you grounded, I think.
And so do you apply the same to when you're on a winning streak and you're winning all the time, and where do you find your drive and your motivation?
I enjoy it, and I mean, it's probably more internal. I mean, I like to... It feels good to win, but I mean, to be honest, I don't think I'll probably ever be a black belt world champion, or I'd love to medal. That would be awesome. Like, that's a goal of mine. If I could get a medal at the black belt worlds, that I'd be more than happy. But I don't think I have to have that to be happy with my jiu-jitsu career. I just want to keep improving, and I don't know. I think it's like we're always trying to understand. It feels good when, like, you've got problem solving, or like you're training, things aren't working, you solve the problem, you get it to work, and that just keeps going on because people present you with new problems all the time. So that's how whether it's I don't know, I'm going off topic, but that's what it keeps me going, I guess. I enjoy it.
Great. So in the last, I guess, especially last year and a half, you had a little bit of a breakthrough with your jiu-jitsu at the black belt level. So you keep improving, or you seem to keep on improving, especially after you got your black belt, and you keep climbing up the competition scene. So in the last year, you've represented Australia at Abu Dhabi Pro at ADCC. You got invited to events such as Boa Super 8, and then recently Eddie Bravo Invitational, which was a big one. What has been your highlight?
Favourite competition?
Yeah. Like in your career, in the last year, so...
EBI was awesome, just to be a part of that event. Probably in terms of prestige, ADCC, that was awesome to compete at and just be amongst it. But yeah, I mean, I really liked, I suppose, because it was my first really big win against Edwin Najmi, I think, at Boa. And just to be at the Boa, it's surrounded by people in Australia that I know, like in the crowd. I think that was a big thing. Usually when you compete in jiu-jitsu, there's so many matches going on that no one's focused on you, but it's good to get some big wins in front of everyone you know, especially having my own school too. There's more pressure when that's the case, I think, but yeah, that's probably it. They're all good.
They're all good. So what's your what are your plans in the next year in terms of competition and travel?
I want to compete. I've got Abu Dhabi Pro coming up, then the Worlds. I've got Asian Open. I'll probably do No-Gi Worlds at the end of the year. I want to try and qualify for ADCC again, whenever that is. I want to compete in a wrestling competition sometime this year. I'm hoping whenever there's one announced in Melbourne, I'm going to sign up. So, yeah.
Yeah. And are you planning any seminars in particular? If people can't come to Melbourne to attend your classes, can they find you anywhere else?
If you would like to contact me for seminars, please do, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What else was I going to say? What else have we got coming up? Oh, and hopefully I can get on some Supervite events too, like Copa Podio or anything EBIA again if I get a chance, or Polaris, or yeah.
Just before we wrap up, I wanted to know your thoughts about what your dream culture and your dream club is. So you've started Absolute Sathiara, you're the head coach there. What do you envisage that being in about 5 years' time? Where do you want that to go, and what sort of club do you want it to continue being?
Okay. I want it. Well, I kind of want two things out of it. I want it to be. I guess I've invested a lot of time into Jiu Jitsu, and I think one of the things I really enjoy about it is how complex it is, and therefore that's why I like trying to help build a lot of elite level grapplers, I guess you'd call them. I think that's the most challenging part. I think you can probably go to any jiu-jitsu school and learn fundamentals. Obviously, different teaching styles and so on are going to be able to teach that better. And I think that's a tough task in itself, just being able to take the person who's not naturally gifted or athletic and actually turn them into a good grappler. I think that's a really good challenge, but also taking the people who are really gifted and making them as good as they possibly can be is a big challenge too. So I would like to hopefully grow it to be a huge competition team in Australia. Hopefully, really I want to get some black belt world champions coming out of our gym in 5 years. We've got some up-and-comers now who I think have potential to do that. That would be awesome. But also just keep growing the community and that we're sort of developing now, and yeah.
Yeah. How do you think Australia's best jiu-jitsu stacks up against the world at the moment?
Good. I see a lot of potential. I see it's definitely improving and gaining momentum. I see a lot of, there's some purple belts, brown belts, blue belts, purple belts, brown belts who are starting to really push the envelope in their weight divisions internationally as well. And I can see them when they get to black belt, they're going to be really good. I don't think it'll be me. I think it's going to be someone after I won't say my generation, but a few years younger than me who can come along and push it even further. Hopefully I can push the boundaries a little bit, but I'm 100% sure that in the next 5 years we'll have some people that people are looking out for. So yeah, it'll be good.
That'll be good. So being a part business owner, being a head coach, being a very competitive black belt in the Australian scene and obviously internationally making some waves, working clinically as a physiotherapist, being a physio for the Australian judo team and a PhD candidate. How do you, no biggie, do you think it's important to have other things outside of jiu-jitsu? Where
Yes.
do you place education? Where do you place a job? Where do you place relationships? Where do you place friends and family life? Do you think you need a balance of all, or if you want to be the best, should you just continue just with jiu-jitsu?
If you want to be the best at jiu-jitsu, you don't have to do anything else. But if you want to have a more comfortable living, I think it's very important to find somewhere. I think studying's a really good thing to do while you're training. Obviously, if you can afford to study, it's mental. So you're obviously going to be physically exhausted from jiu-jitsu. So getting a labouring job is probably not the best adjunct to jiu-jitsu. Whereas something academic, I think, is going to be really good. It also lets you're going to be more comfortable. You've got something to focus on. If you're 24/7 jiu-jitsu, I think you get too emotionally involved in the outcomes. If you've got other things going on, it actually gives your brain a rest from jiu-jitsu too, which I think is also important.
Mm-hmm. And finally, do you have any sponsors to thank? Anyone else you want to thank? Any shout-outs? Any announcements?
So I want to thank my sponsor, MA1 Apparel, also Core Tactics soap gel, 34S. And Absolute MMA, which is my club in South Yarra, but also the CBD as well. So we've been working together a lot, and it's been really good. We're coming along really nicely, so I'm very happy with that.
Okay. Thank you.
And thanks to everyone in Australia. Jiu-Jitsu everywhere is improving and growing. It's definitely not just our club. It's everywhere. I see it everywhere from all different clubs around Australia that everyone's growing and improving a lot. So I think just the whole standard's going way up. It's good.
Great. Thank you.